What interests you about psychology? Usually when someone is asked that question, they will say that they're interested in what makes people tick, why people are the way they are, their behaviours, thoughts, feelings. And psychology is where you go when you're interested in all those things. And then we have Freud. Everyone hates on Freud. The internet hates Freud, the media hates Freud, psychologists hate Freud. Freud is outdated, Freud is sexist, Freud is about sex. But modern day psychology has moved past Freud. The kind of psychology we're interested in nowadays is scientific, evidence-based. Today's psychology is all about more practical questions, teaching us personal development, emotional intelligence, behavioural change, and developing a growth mindset. Psychology nowadays has progressed. Psychology is progressive. If psychology asks questions about why we think and act the way we do, then here's a Freudian question. What makes you come? Shocking. But at the same time, what could be a more relevant question to ask about human psychology? Screw around with behavioural change and growth mindsets all you like. If your theory of human psychology can't explain why we think about certain things rather than others when we come, then what kind of psychology is it? Like it or not, as psychologists we have to have an interest in and a theory of human sexual fantasy. Because if you think that psychology is about what goes on in our head, but you're not interested in questions like these, then there's something wrong with your psychology. If Freud's interested in sex, it's because human sexual practices present the most interesting questions. You don't have to agree with what he said, you just have to understand what problem he was trying to solve when he said it. Walk into a bookstore and look at the psychology section. You'll find books about emotional intelligence, mindfulness, and how to think better. You probably won't find that much Freud. Research grants and scholarships flow towards these topics, and undergraduates flock to universities that specialise in them because they appear to be the most immediately accessible, relatable, and practical areas of psychology. But are these really the hard problems of psychology, or just the ones we find most convenient? The answers we're offered are the ones that adapt us best to the challenges that we face in the world as it is. The challenges of a market economy, how to be more mindful, how to deal with stress and anxiety under pressure at work, how to be comfortable with ourselves when we don't feel like we know who we are. Subtly, they teach us how we should think and act, rather than questioning how we do. And when this happens, psychology becomes less a subject than an ideology. Freud gets a lot of shit for asking questions about sex. But Freud is interested in the same questions of what makes us tick, why we think the things we think, and what goes on in the human mind. And this is what's great about psychoanalysis. It's brave and fearless in the questions it takes on. It cuts to the chase and challenges us to think differently about the questions of everyday life. Freud's psychology is the psychology of small things, things that no one thought were a big deal in his day. Slips of the tongue, dreams, jokes, and, let's not forget, people whose problems marginalised and ostracised them from the medical establishment of their day. So, when you next think about why you're interested in psychology, and whatever you think about Freud, think about what you think about when you come.